Well, we aim to have much more numbers of workers participating in the strike action than our membership. It's going to go way beyond, and that's why we're no longer just calling this a SAFTU strike. This is a workers' demonstration against poverty, pay, inequalities, status quo. This is the workers' strike against an attempt to take away their only instrument that makes them to give a meaning to collective bargaining. This is a strike against an attempt to reduce collective bargaining into collective begging. So it will go way beyond the narrow members of SAFTU. There are many unions who are not part of SAFTU. We have come forward, issued public statements to say on this issue, they will be supporting the strike, and we welcome that. The number of other political parties who have come through, including the EFF and the UTM and others, who are saying we don't agree with an entrenchment of poverty in South Africa. We don't want inequalities to be legitimized through the national minimum wage bill, and we want a living wage for workers. We want a decent life for all workers of South Africa.
And if one looks at the nitty-gritties, of course, of what is contained in these bills that you oppose to, let's just talk about the secret ballot, for example. One would be of the view that it is sort of a much more safer way to protect workers from intimidation during strikes.
By who? Because the issue of workers deciding how to manage their organization administratively is a constitutionally guaranteed right accruing from the Constitution. This bill looks so, innocent, democratic. Workers must now amend their Constitution. Whose Constitution? Who have a right to instruct workers to amend or not to amend the Constitution except the members of that association? This bill now seeks to give an employer a right to instruct the unions to amend their Constitution. That's frankly unconstitutional. That's the first step. It looks so democratic. Every worker must now be given a right as a single person to decide whether they want to participate or not to participate in the strike. On face value, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's look at the practicalities. The union must now transform itself into independent electoral commission type of a facility or institution. It must have boxes in each and every workplace. It must allow individual workers to go and vote, and they must exercise that power in absolute secrecy. It must now keep the registration or the ballot papers and all of the documentation related to that ballot for 6 months, just like the IEC have to do. We contend that actually no union have such a capacity. This is a sure way of ensuring that workers are unable to exercise their right to strike in the future. So that's the biggest concern that we are registering. Others who have signed this thing usually do not have to exercise that right to strike. They have never struck, some of them. For their entire lives, they are happy to just sign that away. But the workers who understand that there is a class battle in each and every workplace and that they must rely on their strike weapon as the very last resort in case that the negotiations do not produce the results, know how important that instrument to go on a strike is in order to have some form of a collective bargaining.
All right, let's just, I know there's so much to talk about, but let's just talk about the minimum wage itself. Of course, you're opposed to this 20 rand an hour, which sort of translates to 3,500 rand a month.
If you are lucky enough.
According to you, what is the accepted minimum wage?
A minimum wage will be anything that will give workers a meaning of the slogan, a better life for all, or even this hot air slogan that have been shouted since 2012, radical economic transformation in the second phase. The University of Cape Town issued a study way back in 2014 already, saying that a worker requires at least 5,400 rands just to keep his head above the water. That's not this. Zolilwela, Izwela, Zolilwela, Izwela.
Zwelinzima, Zwelinzima, Zwelinzima,